Welcome back to Einsteinmediacenter, your one-stop shop for all unnecessary media dissection. Today we are joined with a very special group of guests. We have hailing from Chicago, punk, metal, progressive rock, pioneer band, Snooze. How y'all doing?
Hooray! Good.
Awesome. Do you mind just giving a little bit of a background on the band and, what's gotten you up to this point in the beginning of 2025?
Yeah, so Snooze has been around for a while. We had different lineup pre-2020. Our bassist Cameron passed away. Our drummer Ben moved to Seattle. And then I was pretty much ready to call it quits until when Cameron was still alive, we tried out Alex and we had like one jam. Alex plays drums. And it was a great jam, but I basically just, I don't know. When 2020 hit, we were just like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. But then Alex reached out to me. He's like, hey, you still want to do this band? And I was like, okay. And then so Mike right here with the little mini mic right there.
I pretty much had the same conversation with Logan.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, what are you gonna do? You want to jam? You want to do something?
Yeah, because we used to play shows together. He had a solo project called Michael B, and we played in Kenosha, kind of northern Wisconsin, where like I'm more from the suburbs that are kind of close to Kenosha. And we had a different bass player, Andy, who's in this band Pleasantries, who eventually left. And then we have our amazing savant bass player, Dimitri, over here. So this is like probably our most solid, and besides like the first iteration, probably the longest core group of people. But we're just playing shows in Chicago, touring. Yeah, we got a new album coming out on 4/4, which is going to be cool. But yeah.
So that's a great segue into my next question. It's been about 5 years now since your last release. What was, the real driving force and inspiration for this album to come out and to come out now?
So this album in particular was like, it had a little bit of a different, I had an idea, the album that most people know us for, Familiaris, was like a concept album about a dog and whatnot. And this, we had another EP album thing in between that. And this one, I wanted it to be another concept album. And it was kind of different at the beginning. I had a different idea of the label that puts out our records, Choke Artist, the main guy, Joe, he asked me to do a song for a comp, and that was Overheard from the Void. At the time, I was still basically working by myself and with the help of Anoop Sastry, which is another great drummer, and we connected before 2020 for Still. But yeah, basically at that time I had a kind of completely different idea about what the album was going to be about. It was going to be like this super contrived like concept about like different states of consciousness and all that stuff. But I'd say basically it's about, mental health and, my struggles with it and struggles with loss and, and kind of, being nicer to yourself, I guess. But at least it ends up that way. But I'm sure in a vacuum, some of the songs are kind of,
But it was definitely like, I think because we have a little bit of like still like an observant perspective on Logan's writing of the record, because he is like the lead songwriter. Like the songs come from him pretty much, and then we have the opportunity to add our own influence to it. Yeah, it was definitely like a labor of love, really, over the last 4 years or so. Like, you know, some of the songs and ideas have been around, and we were able to continue to like flesh them out. And I feel like it was more in the last year and a half or so that we really like had the traction, had the push to keep like to complete it, really, to get kind of where we are now, where it's like a month away from the album actually coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a while. There was a period in like maybe 2022, 2023 that that I don't know, I had not written for 8 months, something like that, like barely anything. And eventually I kind of, I wouldn't say snapped out of it, but there was like a bunch of writer's block, a bunch of like life stuff, you know, but we got there eventually. It's like 13 songs. It's a long ass album.
That is long, especially, I mean, you know, Still was pretty short, 6 songs, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, to back up a little bit, the concept here is kind of touching on mental health a little bit. I feel like that's not necessarily new for you or for this project.
Right.
You know, I find that a lot of the music, even the instrumental sections, can convey a lot of, you know, emotion in them. And, you know, 2 songs that particularly stick out to me when I think that are Feels Bad and Chesapeake from Still. Like, a lot of the instrumental passages kind of convey heaviness and, you know, a lot of emotion. Is that by design, or is that just naturally, you know, how you and the band are writing?
Yeah, so most of the time, like, I will normally have like some kind of riff, and I'll program drums, and I'll kind of like work it out from there. And a lot of those riffs are like either in major or like very close to extremely tonic and very like happy sounding. So I think the juxtaposition kind of comes with just like these just bummer lyrics, you know? So like a lot of the time it kind of lends itself to that weird cognitive dissonance of just like, okay, this is all in major and very, but that's also like part of the, most of the writing that I do, I just feel like, I don't know, it's something that I've wanted to hear. Like, I often tell people that, like, if you know Delta Sleep, they have this one breakdown in Uncle Ivan that I just wish they were like that for the whole band. And that's basically what Snooze is. It's just math rock breakdowns all the time, pretty much. Like, the whole band is breakdowns. But for lyrical content, at least for Feels Bad, Cameron wrote those lyrics, so they have a distinctly mega bummer energy about them. But Chesapeake, the lyrics for that was kind of reminiscent and kind of like mourning like my old house, like that I grew up in. And it was just like, you know, the lyrics are kind of like parent divorce type stuff, and like, you know, they won't let you see you fighting or whatever, and like avoidance, blah 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 type shit. And but they like, the new tenants put up a fence in this like beautiful backyard that was open to this like pond. I was like, the fuck are you, you know? Also, can I swear? Can we swear? Is that cool?
Yeah, you're all good.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it's stupid. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, most of the time, yeah, I feel like the heaviness in terms of emotion comes from this weird dissonance of, I mean, in the upcoming album, there's a lot of genuinely more heavy music. So it's not as big of a cognitive dissonance between like this like very tonic major sounding thing. Oh, hi Silas. But like, you know, it's kind of this there's a lot more genuinely heavy stuff on this album. But yeah.
Cool. And now I remember, I can't even remember how long ago it was now, maybe a year or two ago, you got a lot of people together to do some choral arrangements, and I believe you recently said that there were some, string and orchestral arrangements on the album. What inspired you to go in that direction for, I don't know, maybe one or a few of these songs?
Yeah, so there's 3 songs that have choir. There's one that has orchestra, and then there's another one that has some light other instrumentation that me and another really talented musician that added some Hungarian, like traditional Hungarian flute. His name is Martin Hablik. I might be getting that wrong, but anyway, the basically I had the idea because there's a lot of parts where there's a lot of dense harmony and very clustery chords, and normally I just do them and just layer them myself, but I was just like, I don't know, fuck it. I put up a Instagram story. I was like, who wants to, do a choir thing, just like putting out feelers. And there were so many people that were like into the idea. I was like, oh shit. I have
like 200 people or something.
So many people that
yeah, something insane.
Yeah, it was going to be way more insane than it already was. But it turned out, I think like 30 people showed up and a couple of people submitted online. And then for the orchestra, that was pretty much everyone submitted online. A couple of people recorded at my house, and it was just like the coolest shit ever. Like I like for this band, I normally don't even, I'll do like tabs, but I don't really write anything out. I'll just like record the demo, send it to everybody, and maybe do some tabs and put the lyrics or any vocal parts that we're going to do live to learn. And then Alex usually changes the drum parts to make them humanly playable. But like, this was the first time that I've like, barely. Yeah. But this is the first time that I've like written sheet music out. And especially for the orchestra, there's a lot of different keys and stuff. I use MuseScore, this free open source notation software that was a big help, because I'm like, I don't know what the range of the goddamn euphonium is. But like, basically as people offered, I wrote a part for that, because I didn't have like there's cello, euphonium, violin, saxophone, trumpet, flute, and then also, what's the other one? Piccolo. So like even a higher another octave higher than flute. Oboe, clarinet. Yeah, it was the coolest shit ever. But yeah, so we got together at this place downtown, and it was very cool.
It's really crazy to have so many people just like come out of the woodwork and like help us out in such a huge way and make it like more lively. Like, it could have been electronic instruments that were put on, but like just to have real players like come put their heart into it is like, it's crazy that people just like went to those lengths for us.
Yeah, they just, I got them pizza and stuff. I kind of feel like I still didn't do enough, but like we went out and got pizza, and it was just like there was a bunch of really good friends. Like Dimitri starts out the solo for the second track that has choir on it, and it's like a very a cappella snapping, and there's like some like what is the instrument? Kind of like a bongo, but it's a different African instrument that somebody lent. Yeah, the whole thing, like people were lending me instruments here and there. I would just throw a question to the void, and like, hopefully people would, and people just like were just like, oh, you can. I still have an accordion that I haven't fixed up that I was gonna use, but from Josh, yeah, but like. Yeah, it was just a very big collaborative thing, which I don't know. It makes it so much more meaningful and like just literally just better, because like I don't know how to play any of that shit. So like, and also like trying to mix 10 Logan vocal tracks is probably a nightmare. But like, a choir, it's like it sounds incredible. So
it's so like because the first single for the album we just released, Without,
Oh my god.
has a huge like feature of that album or that song is the choir.
Yeah.
And I was just showing the song to somebody, like a friend, this past weekend, and he was like, "Yeah, the choir just adds so much. It adds such like a liveliness to it. It adds such like a different like depth of dynamics to it.
Oh yeah.
It's just like such like a game changer. It's like I feel like I think with Snooze you're pretty used to hearing like these dense vocal arrangements, but when you can kind of hear the room, you can hear how live it is, how many different voices, different instruments are like contributing to the song. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So have you guys thought about, now that you've incorporated this, I'm going to say, broader depth of, instrumentation and vocals, like, have you thought about how that's going to be affecting like the live shows and how you're going to try and incorporate that? Like, what's that like?
Yeah. I mean, we were joking about it. It's just going to be a lot of work, like, so Without, that's a song about Cameron. I've told them that I don't think I'm ever going to be able to play it live. We might one day. I think I can probably get over it, but it's just like, it's a tear jerker, and it's just like impossible to sing. But if we were to do it, I think we would probably get as many people that would want to show up to either come on stage or be in the audience or something, like with the choir parts, which would be so sick, but fairly hard to orchestrate and make work. Like we're not above like putting shit in backing tracks. Like we're not like, especially for live stuff, like, but would absolutely love to do that. So for the release, we're definitely playing a lot of the new material for our release show and tour. But that was an idea that we floated around. Just like, let's play the whole album and let's get a choir. And I was like, it's not gonna happen. It's way too much work.
It's a lot.
But
it would be a lot.
Do like a Metallica live.
Oh my god! Especially since all of the songs go into the next song. So it's just 50.
We would get no break.
Nonstop.
We would get no break except for contingent into I Listened, where it's just like a banjo thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's that almost seems like a staple of every Snooze album, is just each song segueing right into the next one. Where did that idea come from? Because I personally love that, but like, why?
He's a sicko.
Yeah, I'm a freak. No, I completely pigeonholed myself into this, and I can never not do it anymore. I have to do it until I'm dead. But I don't know. It's a lot of work, but it's nice because it kind of allows me to sometimes write things that are not purely just like pure like inspiration, I guess, if you could call it that. Like normally I'll like write a riff where I'm like, this shit fucking bangs, and it'll just sit there, and then it'll just be sitting there for years. And then as I'm trying to, almost none of the lyrics are also written at this point. So like a big part of the problem solving of like the albums is like, okay, I have this riff in D at 170 or whatever. And like, it's just experimenting to try to get to another song. Sometimes it works really well, like, and like Familiaris, and we play these live, is like Hold On into Separation Anxiety. They're in same key, same tempo by the end. That, well, not comparable tempos at the end. And like, it's easy for like some of those, but as I'm doing this like problem solving to get from one key to another, it seems at the time before vocals come in, it seems kind of like bullshitty, not as good music. But as I add vocals and other layers, I forget which part was just like, oh, I'm just trying to get to this other key. And it's just like, oh, this is just a cool part of the song now. Like, in like, what's the actual name of the song?
Wait, which one?
Oh
god,
Mysterious Voice. It's track 5. We always we only know
Stupid
the
names for
the working titles for the songs.
Of course.
Rain Roddy.
Yeah, very stupid. But yeah, Mysterious Voice is track 5, and there's like the slowdown that gets into on a superposition, which the working title for that one is "Ask It to Jiggle In," which is still what we call it. But it's all right. Yin Yang Twins won't fucking sue us. But
Should I call it the Whisper Song?
well, that one will be too on the nose. But yeah, there's a slowdown in that song that goes into "On a Superposition" that like is so just that problem solving thing that I'm talking about, where it is just like we're just slowing down and getting to this thing. But it turned out like so nice, and especially with Corey that mixed it, it sounds so like extra heavy, and like I'm like, oh, this is great. This is totally workable. This is awesome. Yeah. So
it kind of seems like you make a lot of extra work for yourself.
Yep. For no reason. For this standard that nobody holds me to, and I'm just like, I have to do this now. It's like nobody's telling me to do that, but you know, I do really like the, you know, BT Bam and like that type of style shit where it's just one long thing. And I don't know, it adds to the albumness of it because I don't know, I kind of go one on, one off. Like the first EP was kind of, there was a little bit of transitions and I tried to get it as much as I could, but there were some hard stops where it's just like different key now, you know, don't care. And still had one or two, but I still had a lot of transitions that were that exact problem solving key A to key B thing. But yeah.
For me, like with Logan always making it harder on everybody, it's like it makes it more interesting for us. And also I think like personally as a listener, like hearing something like that happen like challenges my thoughts on how a piece should be, and like it just makes it more fun to listen to and like enjoy further down the road. Like I was a Snooze fan before I was in the band.
Yeah, we were talking about that today. Yeah, like that Max and Atlas's that one on you know the first, like I listened to the first track all the time. I can't remember what album it's on. It's
their latest one, I think.
Is it the ding 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 ding?
Yeah, for sure.
I always have to queue up the second song because the transition is so perfect.
It's so good.
And like, you know, this other synthy album that I love from I think it's Todd Terje or Todd Terje or however you say his name. There's a bunch of songs on that I cannot listen to just one song because it's like a hard stop, and I'm like, it has to go into this. It's like just dividing what is a long song, but I'm like, I have to queue up the next one because it's too perfect. But
I really appreciate that. That's like really you know, music nerd shit. But you know, I'm like I'm right there with you. Like, you know, you brought up BT Bam, like my favorite metal band of all time. So, you know, I'm expecting you to, you know, write your Ants of the Sky prequel to the sequel transition soon.
Right. Yeah.
But I appreciate that because, you know, a lot of artists don't really care about, you know, the queuing up of their own project. So it definitely does go a long way. And I think that is why you have such a fervent fan base who wants to, you know, be a part and help, and because they recognize like a lot of work goes into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a fuck ton of work, but I feel that, I don't know, not to be too old man yelling at cloud, but just like there's a lot of like focus on algorithm, and I'm trying to do it more because I don't want the album to flop, but like there's so much of this emphasis on just like streams, keep it short, get a very replayable thing, you know, I don't know, not so much
seconds for TikTok.
Yeah, get something very hookable for TikTok. I just don't give a shit about any of that, but I just want to make the art that I want to make and make it good to me. You know, it has to be good for me, and then, you know, everything else is whatever. Like, I hope that people fuck with it, but it's the stuff that I want to make, and it's the stuff that we as a band come together and make together that, you know, that's what is special about it, TBH.
For sure. It's it's interesting you talk about that because it's like, on the one hand, TikTok and the algorithms and the commodification of art is like so detrimental to like true artistic experience.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I found you guys because I was just like scrolling through Spotify or something, and it was like,
yeah,
you were recommended, and I just was like, yeah, they have a funny name. I'm gonna pick on it and see if I like the music. And I did, and here we are. So,
that's fucking sick.
there's like a lot of trade-offs with these things.
Yeah, my sister helped me name this band. We were having a terrible mushroom trip, and we had talked about how snooze is a funny word earlier on in the day, and that was like one of the only moments where I was just like not having a panic attack. I was like, I remember when we talked about that earlier today. But yeah, that's basically why it's named that. But yeah, in a way, yeah, and like, no shade to TikTok. I was hopelessly addicted to it for years. And I found a lot of really sick music that wasn't just like, all right, here's my hook or whatever. That's very much the top of the top problem. There's a lot of bands that I found on TikTok or just on Instagram or somebody, specifically other people using it as audio for their TikTok. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck band is this? And then, but there's always like questions about being beholden to something that is kind of serving things to you and not kind of, I don't know. It's a complicated thing. That's kind of why I'm like, I was very hard. Like, I'm not going to do any marketing. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to put out the stuff and be like, hey, here's a picture of my cat. Come to the show. Like, the same thing that I've done like my whole life. But I don't know, for this album, at the advice of the band and other people that I've talked to, like Corey, who mixed it, he's like, you got to put at least a couple videos out for the songs and then just push them. And that's all you got to really do. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. That's a compromise in the middle. I'm not going to do like, well, I do have one or two funny ideas for TikTok-esque content type things, but it's not going to be like the focus of the band. I just, we just want to torture ourselves and play the hardest, shittiest music of all time.
I think that's like, we've talked about this before too, like as a band, and like, it would also just feel like not genuine to like what Snooze is if we just started making some like very like forced, like pushy, like marketing sort of effort. Like it's just kind of antithetical to like what it has always been and what the band is and what it sounds like. And I don't know, we've found ourselves in a lucky position where there is an audience for this already. Like there are people that are listening and that are looking forward to hearing the new stuff already.
Yeah.
And, it would be really good. And we're hopeful that more people who haven't heard Snooze can hear the new record and dive in a little further. Like that would be awesome. But we also have like a lot of wonderful, amazing, sweet people that are just like stoked that there's new stuff coming out and just want to hear it. And they like can't wait to, like we just announced a tour, and like all the people that are in those places are already like reaching out and are really excited to see us play like new stuff and all of that. So we're at least in like feel like we're in a good place where it's like, we can just kind of do this the way we want to.
Yeah, the marketing is ancillary at this point, which is a very privileged position to be in, because I've flip-flopped a lot on this before, because some of our friends and like Dimitri, even less than a year ago, was like I literally am doing music and that's it. Like it is like I can't, from my position, like I have a software job. Like I have like this fake job that can like keep me alive, so me sort of like judging, really I'm judging mostly myself for doing it, but subtly kind of in a subconscious way, like judging other people for just putting themselves out there and just being like, here's my art, please buy it so I can eat. It just seemed really like, I don't know, jaded and shitty. It was just like old music opinions from way forever ago. So, nowadays I'm like more like, all right, like I'll make a video or whatever, but
it doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. You make
Yeah.
one or two, send it to the void, and go on your way.
That's basically, we have a really sick music video coming out with some incredibly generous and talented people that we shot in this place in Logan Square. And we have another video that's like compiled of some live videos of us playing that song. And since we played to the click, it's like dead on. So I was like, fuck it. Yeah. So I made a video for that one. And then we had this lyric video that our friend, that Corey recommended this guy, Parker, to like animate and do stuff, like do a bunch of visuals and lyrics to it. And like, that's basically, that's the 3 singles, that's not, there's no artistic compromise there. He's like, all those were very high effort, cool things that were fun to do. I think I just like, I don't know. I do have some ideas for little skits, but maybe we'll wait. We'll wait on this.
If they're not totally sucking your soul, then it's not the biggest deal.
Yeah.
But you mentioned tour, and I saw recently you have a show with Kaunashi coming up. You got a show or a few shows opening up for Andreas. 2 very different acts. How do you find that the music that you create, you kind of live in this in-between world of metal and pop punk almost?
Yeah, more poppy, melodic stuff, yeah.
How do you find, is it easier to book with bands? Is it harder to book with bands? Do bookers not know what to do with you guys? Like, where do you find that?
It's hard to book with everybody.
Yeah. At least in Chicago, it's fucking impossible. But like, honestly, this is gonna sound kind of like oh, woe is me type issue. But like most of the time we're having other people ask us. So like we're just saying yes to things. And we're like, fuck yeah. Like Joe. So Joe from Choke Artist is a genuine just goat of all time. A greatest of all time. But a lot of the tours that we do is through Joe. Like I haven't reached out to any bands other than like our friends that are like in, we're looking for a local for this random Chicago show. Like I'm trying to get into that. We have a Google like Excel sheet or whatever, like that's like bands that we want to play with, and there's like 1 on there so far. But like I want to start doing that. Like I was talking to some other people from the scene. They're just like, I just DM people and just are nice and just like, hey, if you're coming to Chicago, like the exact thing that happens with us. And I'm just like, oh, that makes sense. That is so like doable. But I just have never, really done it. I just am, But when it comes to, booking, like I like being the heaviest band on a light show. I like being the lightest band on a heavy show. And I think that we have a lot of like, breadth of like influence that I think that it's an easy sell, but I don't know. Like, because I don't know, like, I don't know. It's not as hard. It's very, it's another privileged position to be in that, that we have people that want to book shows with us and that I haven't just had to be in the just like purgatory of cold emailing everyone. I'm sure that in the upcoming tours that I'm going to have to do some of that, but yeah, it's a nice position to be in, to like be able to, we tend to view it positively, that it's like we can fit with either a heavy band or a lighter bill. And we like that a lot because a lot of the time we'll just play with our friends in the Choke Artist roster and we're just playing with other math rock bands. And then there's like 20 people at the show, but
yeah, that's awesome. So I'm not from Chicago. what is the Chicago music scene like? Was it good to come up in the scene there? Is there a lot of support, a lot of local venues, stuff like that?
There is a ton of very talented and very generous, amazing people. There is just so many fucking bands that we're all competing for upstairs at Sub T, Beat Kitchen, or like 2 other venues that will host these like local to mid-level shows, and big ass bands also book at those places. So you're basically competing, like, unless you have the draw to play at Salt Shed or Metro or like these, like the next level that we're not really at, like it's like the the big stage. But the it's tough. I think that it's a blessing as a showgoer because there's so much shit to do. But for the release, we were looking forever ago, and thank God for Joe, but we were looking forever ago, and we were looking at a couple different venues, and it's a really who type thing, because I know some bands that have their first show at this cool ass spot at Chuba's, and it's like their booking email just doesn't exist. Like, you have to like literally know the people that book it. And every show we've had there the sound's been amazing. I want to play there more, and I just can't make it happen. I don't know how to make it happen.
Like like one of like the biggest examples of this was like last year we wanted to book a show like late in the year to play Familiaris as a whole record in one. And we were like, we had like multiple great bands.
6 months. 6 months in advance.
6 months in advance. And they're like, yeah, we can give you like the 5th hold on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday.
It's like, oh, so we can't book here then. Like, and it's that, and it's one of like the good venues, or it's one of the like really small like bar venues, which like they have their place and they're good for things, but it's like,
yeah, we have 200 book shows 200,
there, 300 like paid tickets here with this show. And somehow we are like the 5th hold on a weekday.
It's rough.
It's insane.
Because like, the places, just the breadth of artists that come here, like they'll always make a Chicago stop, like on any big tour. And yeah, we're competing with fucking Turnover or Nickelback or some shit. I don't know. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Same band.
Yeah, it's the same band. But
the 2 genders, Turnover and Nickelback.
Yes, Turnover and Nickelback. But there's also like a budding like DIY scene that's really great, that we're kind of scared to play because we have this fucking in-ear rig. We know that they're not going to have a PA.
Way too annoying sometimes.
Yes, we're way too. Yes, but I don't know. Like, there is also a massive DIY scene and very cool places to play. Like, there's this place, Bricktown, that has a fucking half pipe in the background. I'm like, I want to play there, but like, I've worked sound there, and it's like a mixer that's literally smaller than the one that I have right here. And I'm like, we have like 12 inputs, but like, we could deal. I don't know, but also, I don't know. We also, at the same time, like, I feel so grateful, but also I feel so bad for all the people that have seen us so many times. But we just play too many Chicago shows in general. And like, I feel like people are coming to town and they want to play because we're friends. And I'm like, I hope that we can set something up, but it's like, we won't draw. It's like, there's too much shit going on and we play too many Chicago shows. I don't know. It's a good problem to have, but like, it's also like, it's not like where I'm from, where there would be one show or like maybe 2 shows like a week, and everyone would be there because there's literally nothing else to do. In Chicago, there's like 50 billion things to do all the time.
Yeah, it's not. And this is like, I just played a show in Evansville, Indiana with a different band, and it was like a Sunday, and there was like at this like upstairs bar floor show, there was like 150 people there at this show.
I didn't even know that it was
a hardcore show.
I didn't even know that was a town.
Yeah. Sorry, Evansville, Indiana.
Yeah, sorry.
I respect you now though, because like it was like super sick. Like, I literally played like at 6 p.m. to like a bunch of people like moshing super hard. because it's just like kind of a different dynamic from like what we're used to in Chicago, where there's just so much stuff going on all the time.
Yeah.
It's hard to like make your statement and like be the full attention grabber of the night, because it's Friday night in Chicago and there's 8 billion things you could possibly do.
Yeah. You know,
It's very competitive, from like the playing shows to booking shows,
Yeah.
like we were going over earlier. And it's like, it's kind of antithetical to what we normally are doing. We're just trying to have fun with the homies.
exactly. Like you know, at the same time, like I don't like thinking about draw. I don't like thinking about like getting people in the door and convincing them. Like I just want to play, but at the same time, it's like, you know, we're at a point where like people will come to town and they're like, let's set up a show, and we're the Chicago band. Like we're supposed to get the people in the door, and like I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, but like, you know, like sometimes like, you know, randomly in like Louisville, like I don't think anybody knew any of the band. There's like people just go to shows and just have a great time and buy merch, and it's like the coolest shit ever. Not that people in Chicago don't buy merch, but it's just, yeah, it's rough. And I feel very grateful for the people that have made it out to more than one or all of them, you know, that is like kind of insane.
Shout out Francisco.
Yeah, shout out Francisco. We love you.
Shout out my wife.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike's wife.
Shout out to Mike's wife.
Mike's wife, Francisco. But yeah.
Nice.
Love you,
Nice.
man.
So, you know, I'll let you guys go in a second. Got 2 more questions. You're heading out on tour. Where are you looking forward to most playing, and what's on the bucket list of, you know, new cities you're trying to get out to?
Wait, can I answer?
Yeah.
Houston, Kaonashi.
That shit's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be so crazy. It's gonna be sick.
Also, yeah. Playing San Antonio. We're gonna meet up with with Sloth again. We're gonna see Danny in
Denton.
Texas,
My sister lives in Denton, so
Texas shows, and particularly Denton, Texas, which we've played like 4 times already or something, for a band that hasn't toured very much.
They pop off.
It's always incredible. Like there's a really like lively scene for our sort of music there, which is always super fun.
Yeah,
Shout out Rubber Gloves.
Yeah, Rubber Glove.
Gloves
Yeah,
are
crazy.
in Denton is great.
I have a really. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
You know, you're good. We're playing in St. Louis for the first time, like since I've been in the band. You guys didn't do it before I joined.
No.
Right? Yeah, I'm from St. Louis, and I haven't got to like play with like my own band there in like 6 years or something. So I'm incredibly excited.
That's gonna be cool.
So all your friends are gonna be
Yeah,
Exactly.
they're all gonna be
Like
there.
3
El
vocals.
Paso's gonna be extremely sick too. Like they're all gonna be very, very fun. We're really hoping to get a Nashville show. The drive is going to suck, but we're trying to get to Denton from to Nashville. We're trying to set up a show there because our friend Evan is helping us out, and I really want to play with his band. We really want to play with some other bands that we really like from that area. We're trying to make it, you know, as densely packed with fun shit as possible, but it's going to be a great time.
Awesome. And then last question of the night, and probably the most important. Like I said, I've never been to Chicago before. Is Chicago style pizza what it's cracked up to be?
We got some waiting downstairs, but
It depends
it is
what you think.
it is
Chicago
yes,
pizza
it is not deep dish. Nobody fucking eats that shit. That's like the touristy shit. I mean, get it once. If you
Fine. Yeah.
it's like a pie. It's not a it's a wet pie.
It's lasagna.
It's good. It's like, yeah, it's more akin to like lasagna.
It's still
But-
tomato sauce and cheese and
Yeah.
meat.
It's
and
just
stuff.
layered wrong.
It's all
You
fucked up.
can't eat it with your hands.
It's good. It's fine. But like real Chicago style, like get tavern style, the little squares,
Mhm.
greasy ass, crispy crust. That shit is that's what we got waiting
That's the
downstairs.
shit, yeah.
You know,
Awesome.
but yeah,
Nice.
You're gonna love it.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate you doing this. New album
Appreciate you
out.
having us.
When's the new album out?
4/4.
April 4th.
Math Rock Holiday, baby.
Thank you so much to Snooze for doing an interview with me. Had a great time. Everybody, please go listen to the new single that's out. It's called Without. check out their new album on 4/4. And if you made it this far, please like, subscribe. Go follow me on Instagram. I would love to keep interviewing artists, and you know, I need some clout so they respond. Okay, thanks y'all.